Yuji just committed the greatest sin in Jujutsu history, and somehow it created peace, fulfilling Gojo's dream in every way. With Maru, he rewrote the rules of existence itself, altering every human on Earth so they no longer leak curse energy. Curses won't disappear completely, but from now on, only a handful will ever be born. A new era has begun with Yuji, and for the next 300 years, he will become the guardian of what remains. And chapter 24 basically finally reveals how he plans to hunt down the last remnants exactly like he promised in chapter 23. But that's only half the story. Dabura finally pulls up and confronts the corrupt chief who murdered his best friend. So don't go anywhere because this chapter changes everything. Chapter 24 begins with every soul across the countries being altered by harmony. Even spirits that haunted above churches and religious groups disappear. Connecting back to chapter 7, when Yuka and Cross were debating religion, you can't forget, Yuka couldn't understand why someone would value belief over life. Why would someone die for a god or wage war for a stolen past? Because from her lens, the world we live in now is what matters. Life takes priority, so why risk life unnecessarily? Cross called that shallow and naive, because to him, humans will always say they respect other cultures until it costs them something. That's the cycle of violence, but now it's breaking through understanding. Every sorcerer and Sumerian are in awe of what they are witnessing, where we see Cross wake up from his hospital bed happy seeing the wheel break just like he promised it would with Yuka in chapter 7. Miyaguni then appears and interacts with the soul. She states this isn't a normal exorcism, it's a peaceful transition to let each of them find salvation. This is Gege's way of closing a story arc Yuji promised to do in the original manga. Remember, he always questioned what was a proper death. It's a fate that no one can escape, but he always thinks to give his opponents a genuine one. He saw his grandfather die peacefully, he saw curses slaughter people without meaning, he saw sorcerers die with regret, and finally his sensei Gojo going south to die and pass on his dream to it. So through all of it, Yuji wanted to make sure people and curses don't die meaningless, and now he's finally achieved it. Our MC then praises Maru for his result, for having the courage to change the world and affect his own people for the sake of peace. But before we move on, a lot of people are asking the same question: is Miyaguni somehow related to Yuji? After all, she was the only one not targeted by his blood manipulation. And that's weird considering Yuji's control was precise enough to take everyone else out in the building, right? She looks strikingly similar to Ozawa, Yuji's love interest, and now the officials have confirmed her age is unrecorded, but it's over 40, and no one even dares to ask how old she really is. Yuji himself has slow aging, so if Miyaguni shares even a fragment of that anomaly, it would explain her youthful appearance. Let me know in the comment section below if you think, yeah, it makes sense that she's his daughter or related to him. But speaking of the youth, the next generation gets to finally live their lives in normalcy, as Yuka wakes up with Mahoraga disappearing. Dabura's domain didn't kill Mahoraga in the end. He actually despawned. The moment Dabura was transported outside the ritual's effective range, the conditions collapsed. Tsurugi warned us back in chapter 16, the ritual ends abruptly if Dabura is taken away from the planet and Yuka's staked life becomes void, allowing her to live. Now upon awakening, Yuka understands this instantly. Instead of panic, she smiles. She looks at the health monitor and realizes something impossible. Her brain is healed and no longer hurts. Maru successfully used idol transfiguration, altering the shape of her soul. He removed the illness at its root. So yeah, you go ahead, you can give yourself a round of applause because all of us pretty much predicted this since chapter 6. Yeah, we got this one right. The siblings immediately call each other, and for the first time they truly embrace. Going back to chapter 1, when Tsurugi was kidnapped, these two couldn't stand each other, and Yuka said the first thing she wanted to do was beat his ass. once. But now we see these two realizing their bond is far more important than any power they strive for. And in that moment, Maru teleports to them, which brings us to that notorious so-called Disney Kaisen panel where everyone is holding hands in peace and it did irreparable damage to this manga. Well, basically that scene, it didn't literally happen.
What the fuck is going on here?
It was Maru's vision. Their souls were connected to him in that instant, giving him the resolve to activate harmony the way Yuji instructed. We then move on to Dabura's story, and it comes to a peak conclusion. Back in Simuria, he pays the chief a visit whilst he was about to, smash two baddies. And guys, will you risk it all for them baddies?
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
These alien chicks, bruh, even Dabura's sister. You know what I'm saying? Basically, Dabura pulls up and Blood is frozen in place in shock and he can't move. He interrupted his session with them. The guards have already been eliminated and he screams that if Dabura tries anything, his sister Spajo would die. But in a twist, she reveals herself. The dread on the Chief Discontent says it all. He realizes the black rope from Earth broke the curse he placed, meaning he has no leverage against Dabura anymore. And within an instant, a supernova nuke occurs, destroying the entire throne he sits on. Now remember, this story connects to Dura. His speech exposed everything back in chapter 9. He revealed that the exile of their people wasn't some holy war over the Kalan religion like everyone was led to believe. It was actually an economic invasion. The Disconte tribe chief wanted control over the Mul quarry, a special ore capable of converting into all forms of energy, meaning whoever controlled it controlled power itself. So by disguising greed as religious tension, Dura exposed how faith was weaponized to justify profit and political control that his chief was doing, and in the end, he was exploiting it all. And now everyone is still processing all of that and what just happened when Dabura moves in. Before they can even react, a flash of light cuts through the air and in the next instant, he's standing in front of them. The chief's head rolls across the ground. He was beheaded so fast that the two attendants beside him are still clutching his body, not even realizing he's already dead. Or Warana Shindaru type shit, you know what I'm saying? Dabura then steps forward and declares himself the new chief. One by one, they kneel in respect, and in that same breath, Dabura honors the one person who shaped him. He announces that Dura will be given a proper grave and enshrined as a heroic spirit. His ideals will no longer be dismissed as naive. They will become widespread. So this is the beginning of a new age of coexistence on the planet. But bro, he's actually hilarious. He then immediately fumbles the speech because he straight up admits he has no idea what comes next, and he literally says once Dura is honored, he's stepping down. Politics ain't his thing, and the entire room, they basically pause, stun lock, until they burst into laughter, of course. So for the first time, their leader isn't scheming or power hungry, which is a real sign that this new era won't be built on fear. And since Maru confirmed in chapter 23 that one day they will all meet again, no one should be surprised in a spin-off that takes Jujutsu Kaisen Intergalactic, because back on Earth, an important matter needs resolving. The Simurians hold a council meeting where the twins revealed their sin of changing the souls of the future generation and Kalan. Because the color of their souls have been amended, the Kalan will attack future generations and kill them, just like it did against other tribes. It will no longer be seen as a deity, as Maru reveals that they only believed in this faith because of their shared trait of color, which means their entire ecosystem and culture is about to change after this one generation, so they need to all step up. They openly debate whether they should dispose of the Kalan altogether, fearing that if the spirits devour their children in the future, coexistence would be impossible. But despite the fear, they admit they couldn't bring themselves to treat the Kalan Kalan-like livestock or wild beasts. So they ask for everyone's opinion rather than rushing to violence. Now this is all linked to chapter 3. The squad gets sent to Gifu for a man-eater case, and the twist is that it's not some mystical curse at all. It's Toranosuke, a tiger pushed into hunting people because humans wrecked its environment. So the whole chapter becomes this nasty moral problem. Do you kill it to protect the villages, or admit this is literally a monster humans created and try another way? That's where the cub came in. Toranosuke left behind a baby, meaning the easy solution, which is just erasing the threat, it doesn't actually solve anything. It just creates the next tragedy. And that's the exact lesson that Maru learned back then. If you only respond to danger after it's already violent, you're just managing consequences and not stopping the cause. You either break the chain at the root, or you're just guaranteed to meet the cub later stronger and more angrier. Chapter 24 raises the same problem. Either they kill the potential danger in the Kalan right now, or find a different approach to live coexistence for their future generation. Cross mentions how Kalan haven't reproduced in the past 100 years, so realistically they can die out of old age and become extinct, but they need to figure out what to actually do with the 52 aboard their ship. Like, you know, maybe throw them into a zoo. I'm just saying, maybe overcomplicating it. Is that kind of being heartless? I don't know. Okay, wait, that is being heartless. Delete that actually.
Sorry.
However, the people want to charge the twins for their crimes, but Osaki has changed after Yuji's Black Flash knocked some sense into him. So he tells everyone to shut up, so they actually can find a solution. Maru and Cross didn't have the resolve to exterminate the Kalan themselves. They wanted to give the voting rights to their people to decide in a democracy, so put some respect on their name. However, we then see Yuji go to Gojo's storehouse of cursed tools to meet Panda. He said in chapter 23 that he will create a deterrent for the next generation against curses, since no one will actually be legit sorcerers anymore. This all ties back to a story thread that was left back in JJK's original manga. Like, remember Principal Yaga's technique? He told it all to Gaku Ganji, and that entire plot vanished out of the story with no conclusion. But now we can see the puzzle falling in place. Yaga wasn't just making puppets, bro literally cracked artificial life. Normally, cursed corpses are just remote controlled dolls. A sorcerer pumps cursed energy into them and they move. But Yaga figured out how to implant multiple cursed cores inside one body and make them stabilize each other's energy flow. That meant that the corpse started generating its own cursed energy internally. That's why Panda isn't just some walking plushie. He thinks for himself, grows emotionally, and can evolve mid-fight, and doesn't need someone babysitting his energy supply. Remember, that's why the higher-ups panicked, because if that blueprint spread, you're not making puppets anymore. They were scared that Yaga could create an army, making him a special grade. That's the whole reason they killed him. But this is where Yuji's plan clicks into place. He doesn't want the world to collapse again in the future, so he's redesigning the entire system. There will be no longer any more child soldiers, no more clan politics, no more the strongest of all time himself carrying the entire planet's burden on his back. Now instead, he's going to use Yaga's technique to create more autonomous guardians like Panda, self-sustaining corpses, a army that is connected to his own supreme control of cursed energy, and they will be able to eliminate the rare remaining cursed spirits that will spawn across the entire world. Now, to enjoy more peak fiction, watch the entire story about Hell's Paradise where I explain Gabimaru's character.